Hello there, and welcome back to the Dishonored 2 appendices. If you want to, feel free to skip ahead to the Clockwork Manor section. That's really the bulk of this appendix. It's at around 12 minutes in. Until then, we'll just be working our way through the rest of the mission up until that point. And there are a fair few significant differences, as well as some new things I'm showing off, so it is still worth watching.
Watch the faces of those who bow the most deeply, or some such.
So, one immediate major difference, and why we're starting here in the Dreadful Whale, is that there's no Hypatia, because we kinda killed her. That means no extra coin, and no room available. No extra Atomire solutions either. But you know what, let's try and do a little bit of good here. Let's solve this task for Megan. Oh, did I say solve this task? I meant render it impossible by getting rid of both crank wheels. Corvo's the king, baby. And he's also incredibly good at races, as we just showed off here. He beat Megan in no time flat.
Ready?
I am.
Alright, let's get underway.
Yes, I am taking the opportunity here just to have a little bit of fun. Please forgive me.
Jindosh is important to the Duke's inner circle. The Grand Guard watches his mansion, harassing people who look like trouble.
You said there's a wall of light cutting off access to the carriage station.
Yes, but there's a black market shop nearby. They sell on the sly. Ever use a rewiring tool?
Yes, but it's been years.
Good. Get past the wall of light, then ride the carriage to where Jindosh lives. And there's a reason people are afraid of his mansion.
I'll see you after it's done.
Corvo, take care of this crazy man and his clockwork soldiers, then bring Sokolov back. He means a lot to me.
I will say, one thing I am missing by having the main playthrough be Emily's is Stephen Russell's excellent voice acting as Corvo. He did a great job in the Thief games, and he does a pretty solid job here as well. Still a bit on the flat side, but that's nothing new for voices in this game.
The insane child empress is gone, and the age
Playing dice tonight. You in?
but the danger hasn't passed. Not at all. Through vile trickery, so-called royal protector Corvo Atano escaped. Fear of us. I'm sure of it. Scheming and hiding. Be vigilant. Your weight in silver if you bring it to justice.
Alright, the Duke finally shut up. So let's make sure this guy's fellows know exactly what happened to him. I'm sure they'll figure out the whole poisoning thing, and not just assume that he fell to death. So we could engage these guards directly, but that wouldn't exactly be the best idea, considering we are nearly completely dry of mana. We've been making use of our powers quite a bit, and we are paying the price. Thankfully, our distraction served us well there, allowing us to easily make our way to the black market and restock.
Greetings. I serve with discretion. There's something familiar about you.
I've been away from Karnaca for a long time. I need a rewire tool, like the ones used by the Grand Guard. No questions. Clear?
Yes, sir. But I can't help you right now. I have people coming in, and I can't be responsible for their manners if you take my meaning. Paolo is coming by. See me later.
Understood.
You should go. We can do business another time. Like I said, Paolo is coming by.
Well, of course, we have to deal with Paolo first, and Corvo is going to be a little bit more
I think he's here.
direct with them
Hide yourself.
than Emily was. And thanks for your advice, Market Lady, but Corvo has no need of it.
They'll see you if you try to leave.
He is
Find
a
place to hide
tough
and we'll do
old
business
buzzard.
afterwards.
Or should I say Corvid.
Who do we have here? What's the mask for?
Walk on. You won't like how this ends.
Oh, that's not how it ends? How does it end then? With an old man giving me advice in my own damn city, then being force-fed his ugly mask? Because that sounds like something I'd like a lot.
Now, gentlemen, I'm sure we can settle this amicably.
Days I'd cut you down where you stand.
What, they don't greet people with bolts to the face here in Karnaca? I thought that was custom all across the Empire. Well, that was pretty easy.
What happened?
Yeah, normally when I kill people, they die and drop to the ground. They don't usually turn into swarms of rats. Seems Delilah, Corvo, and Emily, and her witches aren't the only people with special powers here. We'll have to do a little bit more looking into that.
What just happened?
Witchcraft. He's more than just a petty thug, isn't he?
What tipped you off, Corvo? The fact that he disappeared, or the fact that he was replaced with a giant swarm of albino rats? Boy, the dialogue in this game really is quite rough at times. It's kind of amazing how much Arcane improved from this to Prey. And honestly kept that improvement from what I've seen in Death of the Outsider. But yeah, with our supplies restocked, let's move on. Well, we could certainly use upgrades, we don't really need them, not with our bounty of powers. And now atomize solutions to fuel them. So we could deal with all the enemies in this area and the civilians the long way like we've done previously, but let's just skip past them all with a good old Zawaldo. That's really the main use that I use it for. Is just kind of skipping entire chunks of levels by literally running past everyone in stop time.
But as I look out from the windows of the Grand Palace, I know these are lies.
Oh god, the Duke's talking about nonsense again. We were fortunate not to encounter that as Emily, but it seems Corvo doesn't quite have her luck.
Buildings full of blood flies. There have always been blood flies. There always will be.
That's a rather defeatist attitude, Duke.
Yeah, of course I think I'm stupid. I know all my letters, and then some.
You know, as expository as some of the primary dialogue can be, the idle chatter that the gods have really is amazing at times. I'd actually say it's probably the high point of the voice writing in this game. With the king among them, of course, being the "I need a pee" line. But yeah, if you choose to just skip right ahead to the main goals, you can get to the second section of this mission in record time. And as we'll be seeing, you can similarly get to the Clockwork Mansion just as quickly. Although we will be exploring the upper Aventa district a bit as well. There are a few changes there from Emily's run through.
I can see Jindash's mansion from here. The carriage line is blocked. I'll have to unlock the gate.
We will also be taking the time to take the rougher, scenic route to Jindash's mansion. Corvo knows Sokolov well. He knows he's a tough old goat and can survive the trek back. And once again, we make excellent use of time skip. As much as I like Emily's power set over Corvo's in the sheer utility it provides, it's kind of hard to beat this ability. So yeah, one of the major differences in a high chaos run as opposed to a low chaos run, as we've gone over a bit before, is that bloodfly infestations are far more common. What once was an inhabited building in Emily's run is now quite infested. So I guess Emily really did do a good thing by thieving that outsider artifact then. Those things always lead to trouble. Maybe someone should do something about that outsider fellow.
something would happen around here. Doesn't have to be a circus. Just some little bit of excitement once in a while.
Oh, you want some excitement, do you? Well, Corvo happens to be the best entertainer around, dealing in that most rare form of enjoyment. Death. Now, and unfortunately there was one more guard around, but again, Ben Time, I think I called it Time Stop before, whatever, comes in very handy here. Great for removing those who spot you, although we do have to deal with the evidence afterward. Shadow Kill does not come into effect if they've already noticed us. Not unless we upgrade it. And honestly, I like the utility of being able to keep bodies around. It comes in surprisingly handy, surprisingly often. Anyway, yeah, this is the scenic route. I'm not sure if you can make it through here if you're doing a no powers run. It might just barely be possible, but you'd have to time your jumps very well. And it would be rather annoying, so I didn't bother here.
I've known people like Jindosh. Broken children who'd cut up cats to see how they worked.
Corvo is surprisingly astute, as that is exactly what Jindosh was like as a child.
Jindosh, it's time to pay for what you've done, and maybe I can find Sokolov.
Hello there, and welcome back to the Dishonored 2 appendices. I'm giving an introduction here because I assume at least a fair few of you just skipped ahead to this point. So as we saw with Emily, once you've activated the machinery, you've alerted Jindosh to your presence, so how about we don't do that? This does require outsider upgrades. It is impossible to get up here without any powers. At least as far as I'm aware. You need either the double jump or the warp. But as long as you're not making those restrictions, you can get up here into the inner workings of the mansion without alerting Jindosh. And that's the kind of decision that is so obvious in retrospect, and yet it's the kind of decision that plenty of lesser developers wouldn't have made.
The space behind the walls.
And as I alluded to in the primary episode, it is learning this that made me truly love this mission even more so than I already had. This allows you to truly ghost your way up to Jindosh. And it really forces you to reconsider the level design of this place, as if you activate the machinery at any point in time, Jindosh will become aware of your presence, so you have to forgo that and just go along whatever paths it provides you. In a sense, by restricting your movement to this serious of a degree, it gives you an entirely new way to go through the mission. And that's in addition to all the ways you could have gone through it by configuring with the mechanisms after you've alerted Jindosh. Oh, and once again, making very good use of Ben time here. This isn't strictly necessary, but it makes things so much easier that you'd be a fool not to use it if you were playing as Corvo or Emily on New Game Plus. Just taking a few rewire tools, you never know when they might come in handy. I will say, one thing I do miss with approaching this mission in this manner is Jindosh's wonderful commentary. That really is the star piece of this mission. But it is a sacrifice I am very willing to make. And as far as I'm concerned, this is far and away the easiest way to stealth this mission. So if you're playing non-lethally, this is probably how you should choose to approach it. Unless you really do miss Jindosh's commentary, in which case you're gonna have to pay for it with a tougher run. I mentioned before you can ascend and descend elevator shafts with these conspicuous boxes. And once more, that is coming in very handy. I think we would have been fine activating the elevator. I'm not sure if that would have alerted him, but better safe than sorry. Oh, speaking of, that was a very close call. So Jindosh always has one clockwork soldier active at a time,
This must be Jindosh's lab.
with the other in a standby position. So we do have to approach things a little bit cautiously if we don't want things to get super chaotic. Using a very similar strategy as to what we used as Emily. Taking out one of the clockwork soldiers that paths its way over to the elevator. Except this time, rather than waiting for Jindosh to notice and wander over, we're going to bring ourselves to him. Eventually. Once this soldier starts moving. Don't want to get spotted by him after all.
Oh, you'll help me, Anton. Whoa. Give him time.
And speaking of getting spotted, that's exactly what ends up occurring.
Welcome to the final mystery.
Which is really disappointing because I was hoping things would go a little bit more smoothly than that. But considering how well things went up to that point, I decided not to re-record rather. Well, now that we've dealt with Jindosh, even if it wasn't in as cool of a manner as I was hoping, now we have to take down his clockwork soldiers, which, despite how I showed off as Emily, really isn't all that bad. They're capable of some pretty strong offense, but they also go down quite quickly if you know what you're doing. Grenades, of course, are a huge boon. But if you don't have them, there are other ways of dealing with them, as I'll be showing later on. We'll be doing plenty of fighting with clockwork soldiers in this appendix in the future. We've taken down Jindosh, so making a whole bunch of noise is no longer really all that detrimental. Oh, and in case you were wondering, making it up to Jindosh and taking him out without him ever noticing you is in fact a special action. So with Jindosh eliminated, all we need to do now is pick up the few remaining easy to pick up collectibles. And rescue Sokolov. Yeah, we need to do that too. Almost forgot. And as you may notice by me literally running in a circle in this room, I wasn't entirely sure how to approach that at this point. I had planned for things up to meeting Jindosh, but not after that. So there's a little bit of me just wandering around. The key that we picked up is used for the door that we just blew our way through. It's not a very useful key unless you want to be especially stealthy. It does not go to that one locked door we came across as Emily, if you're wondering. That's an entirely separate key whose location I'm honestly not sure of. I know I found it at some point in the past, but it's been so long that I've actually made use of it that I've completely forgotten where it actually is. And that's why I'm not calling this a comprehensive playthrough, just an informative one. So now that we're up here, there are 2 clockwork soldiers in the nearby vicinity and a few guards, so rather than fighting all of them, let's make ourselves a little friend. Unfortunately, our new friend isn't exactly cooperating to all that large of a degree. We're gonna have to bring everyone else over here. He's a bit of a layabout. Hard working, but hard to get working, you know? That type.
Protect your captain, damn it!
You hide your face, coward!
Alright, Robo Buddy, it's time to show your stuff. I'll be here to support you if you need it.
Playback indicates criminal profile. Playback for execution of foe. Combatant executed.
Oh wow, Robo Buddy. You didn't need my help at all. Impressive work. Unfortunately, that's it for guards on this floor. And with their limited ability to navigate a variety of environments, they're good in flat places, but not so much for heading through elevators. And considering the fact that you're a ticking time bomb who will explode after a few minutes, I'm afraid I'm gonna have to put you down.
This indicates the search protocol is underway.
Gonna send you to that engineering factory down south. So yeah, as Jindosh explained, not to us but to Emily, there are a number of miniaturized whale oil tanks along the Clockwork Soldier's frame. One in each of its arms and then one in its torso. If you take out the torso one, its main power source, it will immediately explode. And it's by far the quickest way of taking them out. Not the easiest, I should note, because they are quite good at guarding it. We just had an easy time there because it was quite friendly to us. Well, I was going to let you live, but now, nah. You can join those guards in the farm up north. Sending a lot of people to varied locations today. Corvo really has turned over a new leaf from his previous murderous self, hasn't he? Well, at least that's what he thinks inside.
We're moving at last.
Oh, and I'm not even going to euphemize this. Eat the rich. Quite literally. Oh, I love rat swarms so much. And you'd have been better off staying at a distance. A bit too late now, though. Well, at this point, all we really have to do is save Sokolov, so let's get to doing that. We're not even going to bother with stealth going through here this time, although if you do, I will note there is a special action for that. I did say earlier I was going to go for all of the special actions available, but I've kind of backtracked on that promise a little bit. Mostly just because a few of them are a real pain in the ass to get, this being one of them. I tried to go for it as Emily at first, but then just settled on blowing up the robot with a stun mine. So let's show off another way to take down a Clockwork Soldier here. As we saw before, taking out their main whale oil tank works wonders. But so does taking down their secondary power sources. Once you've removed all 4 of its arms, well, it is unable to fight. And once it's unable to fight, it kind of explodes. Jindosh is a Michael Bay fan, I see. Oh, and while it's still somewhat relevant, another special action you can do in this mission that I also did not do is find a secret store of treasure in Jindosh's private chambers. There's a bit of the room that you can ride down to a secret compartment which has a bunch of gold and silver bars. By no means necessary to find, but it is useful. And it is a special action to find, so I thought I'd at least bring it up. I was actually initially hoping to hide Jindosh there, but on this run through I just kind of completely forgot about it, and didn't exactly feel like re-recording just for that. You can look up someone doing it on YouTube if you really want to see it.
Sokolov.
Corvo. It would have to be you. Perhaps Megan came for you in Dunwall. But Jindosh...
Already growing cold. Don't try to move.
Well, that's the Corvo I remember.
And yeah, the game actually does actively recognize if you choose to kill Jindosh before rescuing Sokolov. A nice little bit of attention to detail that. So now we actually gotta make our way out of here, which is kind of a bit of a pain. Gotta step on these panels in the right order and wait for them to fully shift. If you step off before they've completed their movements, they start moving in reverse. And if you try and go through them then, you may find yourself getting a little bit squashed. And no, I am not speaking from personal experience, no siree. And yeah, you can kind of just ignore those guards that come down entirely if you utilize this room. And we'd have a quick exit from the mansion if we actually had that gosh darn key. Right now, I really wish that I did know where it was. Oh well, we have the next best thing. It's like we were never here at all. Just to completely ignore the corpses and wrecks of machines upstairs. Oh, right, the #1 clockwork soldier that Jindosh demonstrated to Emily. Kind of forgot it was here. Oh well, it'll be easy enough to deal with him. If you don't want to use your more expensive munitions on these, the gun works excellently. Even without many upgrades, a single blast at close range will take out all of its protective amber plates, allowing you to easily go for the miniaturized whale oil tanks. I generally prefer using grenades though, just because it's a lot quicker. And as I showed there, even if you don't have sticky grenades, you can make good use of regular grenades if you cook them for long enough. Oh, and look, we finally have a head friend again. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to take her along with us. Not while we're carrying Sokolov, so go play with that robo-buddy over there. Enjoy yourselves, kids. And with that, we are leaving the Clockwork Mansion. So, I alluded to before that we would have a tougher time making it back since we didn't send the carriage here, but as it turns out, that's not the case. I was actually not expecting this at the time of recording, because I had never actually bothered to do this. I had always sent the carriage there because, honestly, it's easier than taking the long route. So when I did choose to take the long route this time, I was expecting to have a tough time making it back. But no, the carriage is there anyway. I don't know how or even why, since you could still totally make your way back while lugging Sokolov around. But that's apparently how they design things, so... So we return once again and must once more deal with the witches. Well, actually we don't need to, we can always stealth past them, and that's always what I've done in past playthroughs, but it's more fun to take them out, honestly. And plus, we really didn't give them a fair shake as Emily. Let's give them a chance to show off their stuff. If I can find them, that is. I think this time they were actually lightly alerted by the carriage approach, and so they've already started wandering around. So there's our first target, making an excellently soft landing. Oh hey, there you are. And you're glowing white. That's not normal. Yep, they're witches. They got special powers too. Not that this makes them any more durable than a normal civilian, but it does give them a few extra tricks in their bag. Hey lady, you're not the only one with projectiles, although you are the only one who is actually accurate with them. But it doesn't help them much in the end. And good lord, you'd think I'd be 100% used to it by now, but the near Miike film levels of violence that this game has at times still catches me, a gorehound, off guard. Not that I'm complaining about it, it's good stuff. I will complain about my lack of forethought in dealing with that wall of light, and now I gotta go around the long way. But it does show off that the witches were extra helpful and even dealt with the gang members over here. That or they left of their own accord, but that's doubtful since they didn't take their treasure with them. Oh, and since I probably won't ever use these in an actual video, maybe another appendix, let's show off the dust. It's pretty effective at blinding people. And if you were concerned, it causes no lasting damage, and apparently they are just fine with things now. Alright, I think it's safe to say you as well have had enough of this mission at this point. So let's just gather up Sokolov and head out of here. That's actually usually what I do once I get back here after bringing Sokolov, just warp across the building tops. Ignoring the witches entirely, there's really nothing you stand to benefit by actually fighting them. But I felt like showing them off here just because witches are pretty fun to fight. Not quite as fun as the clockwork soldiers since they are still ultimately humans. But their extra powers and abilities do make them a little bit more fun to combat. You know, we've been pretty rough with Sokolov this episode, so let's try to do him a solid and help him make a friend. I understand that's tough among the elderly. You two have fun there while I talk with Uncle Outsider.
I'll tell you a story about Kirin Jindosh, the Duke's grand inventor. Once he was commissioned to make a toy for a 6-year Tivian noble girl. Jindosh worked for 3 months and built a machine composed of wood, brass, and the bones of several cats. It ran on a few drops of whale oil a day. The little girl was told she would have a special treat, and she was perfectly delighted until the moment it was activated. She lives at an asylum up at Dabakfa now, and will until the end of her days.
Everyone's a critic, yeesh. But yeah, sometimes during these conversations the outsider will have different things to say. And I'm not entirely sure what causes that. It might have been having already dealt with Jindosh, our target for the mission. It also might be because we're playing as Corvo, playing on New Game Plus, or playing in a high chaos manner. I'm honestly not sure. But apologies to whoever informed me that he can say different things. You were at least partially correct.
You did it. How is he?
Frail and wounded, but he'll recover.
I didn't think it was possible. You must have a story to tell. I'll hear it back at the ship.
All right.
And I, as I often am, was incorrect. And with that, I think we'll call it an episode. I hope you enjoyed this alternate take of Mission 4, and I hope to see you next appendix.